Welcome, you spooky bitches all out there, to another spooky episode of Harlots of Spooktalk. I'm your host, Carly.
And I'm Mel D. Patty Loma. We're thrilled to have you join us today as we dive deep into the eerie and unexplained.
That's right, today we have a very special guest joining us, Sarah, known to her followers as Sawal on the favorite app. Sarah is not just a social media sensation, she's a true connoisseur of the paranormal. With her captivating stories and insights, she's here to share her experiences of hauntings and the supernatural.
And let me tell you, folks, this episode is going to be packed with chills and thrills. We'll be sharing our own personal stories in the different homes that we've lived in, each one with its own unique haunting, and that will make your skin crawl.
Oh, yes, from ghostly whispers in the night to the shadows lurking in the corners. We all had our fair share of spooky encounters. And let's not forget about to protect ourselves from them unworldly spectators.
Absolutely. We'll be discussing some powerful techniques for cleansing your home and creating a protective barrier against like unwanted spirits. Whether you're a seasoned ghost hunter or just curious about the paranormal, there's something here for everyone.
So grab your sage and get ready to cleanse those energies because it's time to get spooky.
Okay, and without further ado, let's welcome Sarah or Sarah Wally to Harlots of Spooktalk.
Hey
All
guys.
right. All right, Sarah, let's dive into those haunted tales.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. I'm Sarah, also known as Sarwali over on the Favorited app and a couple other apps. And again, just looking forward to talking spooky stuff with you guys. So my whole life is pretty much revolved around this and researching it, looking into the things that go bump in the night.
Yeah, it's like so exciting. So everybody's at some point lived in a super old home, and I thought this would be like the perfect episode to really go into the ghost stories. You know what I mean? Because we're already doing the Monday night lives where we're kind of talking it more. I think the Monday nights we're connecting a lot more with everybody like that's coming in. But here we can pre-record, have a conversation, and really get to know you. You know what I mean?
Oh, well, and the cool thing is,
Oh,
it's always fascinating to hear people's stories and the similarities because every haunting has a thread that you can connect to another story.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so what was let me ask you, what was the very first haunting that you can remember?
So the very first haunting was I was maybe 7 years old when I first got introduced to a ghost that I didn't know was a ghost.
Yeah.
And through houses, there's been minor hauntings, everything else, but the spirit of my great grandpa has always come to me with the spirits that resided wherever we were, whether it was a hotel, a cabin, a home we moved into, and introduced the ghost to me.
Oh, thanks, Grandpa. I
Thanks,
have one
Gramps.
like that.
And then the day I turned 18 was the last time I really saw him in that regard, and he was like, "You're an adult now. Peace out. You got this." Oh no, I'm not ready for this.
Thanks, Gramps.
Thanks, Gramps.
how was like the feeling the first time that you experienced it? Like deep down, how was that feeling?
It was, and I clearly remember it because I get the same feeling now where you kind of get the tingles on your scalp, where it feels, the really light touches that make your scalp just tingle. Um, it was that, but with him, it was a sense of peace
Yeah.
because he would pass of old age very peacefully, but there's always a sense of how the person felt when they passed, which can be very
Yeah.
discombobulating to say the least and disorienting.
Yeah, like with a normal ghost that you don't know. You're like, who are
Yes.
you? How did you get here? Who's your mama? Do I know her? But with like when it's like a spirit that you're familiar with, you sense certain smells, and that kind of gives off a good,
Mm-hmm.
like smell, touch, feeling, whatever, and it's just a lot more calming. The problem
It is.
is The problem is when you have a spirit that's like a sheep in wolf clothing. But we'll kind of get into that later on when we talk about cleansing and everything.
Hmm. And the house I currently live in is extremely haunted.
Oh, yes.
And when we first moved in here, it wasn't anything off the bat. And Mary has seen firsthand the things that happen around here and the chaos. But it was always this eerie feeling of anticipation. Not like anxiety, but just, when you're waiting for something to happen, but you're not sure when it's going to happen and you're not quite
Yeah.
sure what's going to happen. There was
The
always that feeling of,
anxiety of waiting for that next step to happen. You know it's there, you just gotta wait for it to happen type of feeling.
yep,
Yes, exactly.
But knowing with your grandfather, it's more of a soothing, not totally, you know what I mean, warm kind of
yeah,
baked cookie type of feeling.
I was going to
Like,
say cookie.
yeah, like that warm feeling of
Yeah.
you have somebody in your corner
Yes.
through it.
Yes. And that's what they could do. Like, for me, I have I was just talking about him right before I got on live, and he kind of opens the door for me. So only one spirit at a time. So don't go crazy. At first, Carly knows. Carly was around for this when I was like, I think it was her or, Melody or somebody, and they were like, one at a time. But my guy was like, open the door and they just flooded, and I'm like, ah! And now he's like, one by one. Now we have proper etiquette, one spirit at a time.
well, and with all, my house has many spirits, but the main 8 have gotten good at not overwhelming anybody. Because I put my foot down. I said, you mess with the kids, scare the kids,
Mm-hmm.
where y'all are going to be exorcised from this
Yes,
home. You're getting evicted. You respect me, I respect you. I'm not trying to step on your toes, you don't step on my toes.
that's what I'm
Kind
like.
of,
I rebuke you. Yeah,
it's
Yep.
kind of like having a portal in your own home
yeah.
Hmm.
with a vacuum of the same 8 spirits on like a recording.
So,
Like
Yes.
rabbit hole, real quick. Someone had mentioned last night. They had said that they had asked if all portals are bad portals. What do you?
I don't.
I don't think all portals are bad portals because here's the thing there's nothing that is truly good or truly evil in this world.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's kind of a shade of gray.
Oh,
So, in order for something to be truly, truly evil, maybe. Truly, truly good, maybe. But to group, I'm not saying it correctly. Like, you can't group all of one thing as good or evil. There's going to be a mix of both in there. That's like saying all spirits are evil.
that's true. So maybe I should have worded it that way, but I was kind of like, I thought about it and I was like, I'm sure you can have, quote, good spirits coming in through a portal, but I've never, I mean, when you hear about portals, you might have a medium come in your home. You're like, oh, there's a portal in your home,
Well,
but
it comes also back to that beauty in everything.
yeah,
You can find beauty in everything out there. It just takes that special eye to find it in certain
yes.
spirits.
Mm,
Well, and the other
Ones that
thing
want fault.
is it's like what in the news and what gets the most views and what gets talked about the most. Is it the good that's done or is it the bad that's done?
that's true.
So we're not hearing about good portals or good things. We hear more about the portals that the D word comes out of that I'm not going to say and invoke into this house.
Hey, you
Um,
sound like me.
you hear more of that stuff on Ghost Adventures or shows like that. They're not necessarily hunting down the friendly spirits, the spirits that just want to communicate, maybe cross over. They're hunting down the ones that cause things to happen. So
Ones
you're
that
not hearing
probably
about the good.
never. And a lot of them shows are also haunted ones that had never walked on this earth as human before. So
Exactly.
totally different type of spirit.
Yep. So I think it's more of what you have the most exposure to. They don't make scary movies about good spirits.
This is true. Well, there was Casper, you know.
I
y'all
like
both
that.
y'all both at the same time were like, But okay, so tell me about your current house. Like what made you realize that it was like how did this all start?
So it all started when we moved in and we had that feeling and that air of everything. And there was one night I begged my parents to take the kids because I'm like, I'm trying to move in with literal infants and a 2.5 year old, and then the older kids, and everybody's driving me crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going up the wall.
Up the wall.
So pretty much, I was about to start climbing like a spider monkey just to. And I begged my parents to take them, and I sent my husband to the cabin to go fishing. I'm like, everybody leave me alone for 3 days. Period. End of discussion. Do not come on the property. Do not come here. Give me time to at least get boxes into the room they belong.
Right.
And the first night I was by myself, I heard somebody walking around, like up and down the stairs.
Oh.
So I thought, I was like, oh my gosh, it's him. He came home. He's trying to scare me, whatever. So I popped open the door. There's nobody there.
Yeah.
And then I look outside and you could see shadows going but by the old bunkhouse, the barn, like on the porch. And I was like,
Yeah.
holy cow, what is going on? And I had the security system on, called people in a panic, called the neighbor who had given me his number. And he said, oh, they didn't warn you?
Oh, thanks, neighbor.
I was like, warn me about what? And he said, well, why don't you come over for coffee in the morning and we'll go to the historical society and I have some things to show you.
Yeah.
I never made it over there for coffee because again, I didn't know them. And
Yeah.
I'm very paranoid about going inside people's homes that I do not know. I've seen too many unsolved mysteries. And
Mm-hmm.
Weirdly, I was just thinking that when you said that too. It
and
did.
he
That theme song played in my head right when you said that. I'm like,
I was like,
it did.
they have pigs on their farm. I was like,
Yeah, no. Mm-mm. Pigs can
mm,
eat a human body in less than 5 minutes.
yeah.
Just saying, just putting it out there.
And so instead, I waited till Monday and I called the previous owner's son who lives in the area and met him for coffee in a public place. Safety first.
Yeah.
And we found out that there was a family annihilation on the property in the late 1920s, early 1930s. Parents and their 6 kids.
Oh, that's nice.
That had an imprint on the house big time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of tragedy, like in one area, a lot of raw emotion in one area.
Yeah.
Definitely imprinted.
And it definitely did. But once that happened, and there was something dark in the basement where I am. It's cleansed now. That one, bye bye, adios,
Yeah.
see you never, peace. But the remaining spirits are mostly helpful. They like to mess with me in a joking way. We set up firm boundaries,
Mm-hmm.
but there's just so much that happens here.
It's
I have
like
the most. The kids are unafraid of the spiritual realm to a point. They respect it, but they're not instantly afraid of it.
yes.
Well, the most innocent people are children. They say they see more than us adults ever will because they're so
Mm-hmm.
innocent. That veil is still there for them. So that
Mm-hmm.
would make sense if you think about it.
Yeah. Carly, you had a house too where you had a lot of activity.
Yeah, we
Um,
sold it because of it. We bought a house on the lake and
mhm.
it happened. Nobody told us at the time we bought it, sight unseen. When we got into it, we found there was an old railroad house where the railroad used to stop, like the old station. The
Oh,
platform was still there. Well, down in our basement, there was like a concrete thing you could cross through, and on the other side, it was like a little crepe where anybody that got hit on the tracks or stuff like that would be taken down to the basement because it was cold down there by the riverbank would be taken
mhm.
down in the basement and laid to rest right there until somebody could come get the person later on. Well, nobody told us about that. We also had on the other part of the house, it was a secret little hideaway for people for the Underground Railroad. So I could imagine the fear in that little area because it was like a little dark cubby hole underneath the house. They would shove people in to
Ugh.
get to them to Canada because we lived by Seneca Lake, which
Yeah.
was actually a pathway for the Underground Railroad. Well, you want to talk about growling and stuff? Like
Mm-mm.
literally, we would lay in bed and have scratches up our back and everything. That house was just truly something was evil. It didn't matter what we did, like we saged. It didn't matter how many priests we had come. It didn't matter what you did. That house held on to the evil like it was nobody's business. But I can't imagine like over the past years, like how much energy was actually stored in that house, good or bad. Like
Yeah.
it could even been people that were still alive back then. It's just that fear of being caught and what's going to happen. Are you going to make it over to Canada or you're not? Like just that fear, if you think about it, was still locked in that house. And it took somebody with a little bit of ability to move in to kind of stir it all back up.
Yeah.
So we actually left that house and just left. We lost everything with that house. And then we bought a new house that was brand new on his land. And then it continued when we moved. So I'm actually still dealing with stuff till this day. So it kind of don't even matter if your house is new or old. It's the
Yeah.
land it sits on too.
Yeah. They think a lot of people don't get that. They're like, "Oh, it's a new house," and I'm like, "Okay, so tell me about the land. Like, how many
Exactly.
acres you got? Like, what was there before? Like,
But that house was the worst I ever lived in. My dad used to, when he was alive, my dad had this thing about paranormal. He would search for the houses to live in. Like when we grew up, the one
oh,
house had an old lady that passed away in her kitchen. Another house had a little boy that got hung accidentally in the closet. Like he would look for the
oh,
hotspot houses because he used to love doing research on it in his pastime. But that house compared to nothing I ever seen or will see again, probably.
so, what did your dad find this house,
No,
or
I didn't
oh, you're
accidentally.
like,
We were driving around one day and we seen it sitting there for sale, and we're like, it was beautiful. It
yeah,
was on like the river bank. It was just beautiful.
yeah,
And I'm like, why didn't nobody else want it? Like, no red flags. Yeah, right.
yeah.
There was a lot of red flags, but you know how you sometimes you just see that
It,
house and it just
it's like getting in a relationship with a narcissist. You're like, they're like, everything looks beautiful. They seem really nice, and then bam,
and we lasted
crazy.
maybe 6 months in that house. And then we literally went homeless for a little while till we got this one because we didn't want to stay in that house anymore. We were
Yeah,
still paying the bills in that house. We couldn't live there. I didn't trust my kids there anymore. Not with their nightmares and
no way. Yeah,
yeah,
no way. Especially like you can like Sage with those kind of houses. Like, Sage will kind of
it wouldn't mattered. It was the land itself too. The railroad tracks were right there still. They
yeah,
weren't in use anymore. They haven't been in use in ages. But there were signs. I just didn't.
yeah.
Beautiful. You should have seen it was beautiful. Let's just say that.
So, what's the most craziest thing that's happened in your house, Sarah Wally? Like, I want the like, give me the tea.
Like was it the
So
night
there's three things. I'll go with one that's more of an imprint than the spirits themselves. So the night of the family annihilation, I'm not gonna say the date because that will stir them up, and we are having a peaceful day. Um,
We're recording while there's light outside,
we are. I
except for
enjoy.
Carly. Except for Carly.
there's a
I
storm
I
going
saw
on
some
right now.
daylight. We're not gonna ramp these little ghosty pals up right now. But we make a point of not being here the night before, the night of, or the night after. Because if we are, there's a full blown reenactment outside. And even if you're not sensual or spiritual, you can hear it, you can sense it,
Mhm.
you can see it. We have gone in the bunkhouse where they were living because they didn't live in the house, they lived in the bunkhouse, which is torn down as of 2 weeks ago. But a friend of mine, we went and investigated, and the hair on the back of our neck stood up because we wanted to investigate before things really kicked off.
Mhm.
So it's just her and I on the property, right? all of a sudden we hear a wailing sound.
Oh man, I've been
And
doing that all
just
day too.
heart-wrenching, like the wail of a mother.
Yeah.
And then chaos unleashed. You heard dogs barking, you heard men yelling. Like, it was the most visceral and like emotional experience ever. And we're like, it's not real, it's not real. Keep pushing. We opened up the door to the bunkhouse, and there was just blood
Oh my gosh.
everywhere. Footsteps and blood, handprints and blood on the window. You heard a child screaming for mom and then a gurgle. It was bad. When I tell you we didn't even get in the car, we fled the property. Like, we ran. Getting in the car would have taken too much time. We ran down to the property line because
Mhm.
she had parked her car at the bottom of the driveway just because it's so hard to get up if you don't know exactly how you're doing it.
Yeah.
We just turned tail and ran.
That's what I would do. I had a house, one of the most spookiest. I think I've told the story. Well, I don't know if I've told it on a recording. I probably have. I had one where, I mean, it almost lit the freaking apartment on fire. You know, like I've had crazy things. I just got this house. I haven't seen a lot, but there would be certain times of the day or the night, like before, like I rebuke it. Don't be coming back here because you have been saged out. But I've had like I was gonna send Carly a picture today. I have a handprint on my ceiling, and then I noticed that a couple days ago. But now I'm seeing right over here. I'm seeing a footprint on the ceiling, and then like certain things like in the closets, you'll have like things moving around. Um, so there was that. It's not like a rodent or anything. It's like someone's moving around, and then you would for a while you were hearing. I mean, I haven't been here that long. Like what? Not even a week or a week. I don't know.
Something like
I
that.
don't think it's been a week. Maybe it has, but you would hear people coming up and down the stairs in the middle of the night. People just walking around here upstairs. So I'm in like an old like this house is an old farmhouse. It's over 100 years old. And so we, like, I already knew, okay, this is it. I'm going to expect things. And I really haven't had seen a lot, but I hear a lot of things. Now, we were recording, or was it on our live? It was me, Carly, and Monica. I feel like we had a guest with us. I just can't remember who it was, but right here on this area, seen her right in the middle of the recording. Right in the middle of the recording. I haven't seen her. Shows up right there in my face. And I'm like, okay, calm down. This is not the time to be dramatic, you know, and which is funny because sorry, side note, in my journal the other day it was like, what's the most dramatic time you've been? And I was like, not that time where the ghost was in my face. But yeah, she was right here. She had and it's so cliche, but sorry. She had like a white gown. I didn't really see her face. I didn't really see much of the top, but I just was like, I seen her, and I was like, okay, this is not the time. You need to go. And then the next day I stayed and haven't had anything. Knock on wood. I'm not going to knock on wood because that's bad luck. See how it spirals so quickly spiritually for me? I'm like, oh my god, there's so many rules. You ever feel like that? You're like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, there's so many things I can't do, and then I never thought I would be a superstitious but
Person.
person. But I think I am. I think I might be. You know.
Well, I have another question. You're talking about seeing a girl in a dress. Whenever I've like seen the physical manifestation of a spirit, they're always wearing something along those lines. Like, it's either formal wear or like nightwear.
Well, because you have so many spirits from like the older days, right? Like so,
But
like
not even like older day wear. It's like formal wear, like the old fashioned suits,
So
oh,
it's
they might have been
pajamas. It's not like
buried.
day to day farmers clothing. You know what I mean?
Could have been
now I
something they were buried in maybe at one time.
That could
Their
be. That makes
Sunday's
sense.
best or something they were most comfortable in when they were on the earth.
have you ever seen a man in a top hat? Those are
We're
fun.
not bringing that sleep paralysis personnel out. Thank you very
Oh,
much.
no, I was thinking
I'm
about
kidding.
something back in the day. Sorry. But,
I had
so
one with an opera hat, and I started laughing, and the spirit did not like that because opera hats, you know how you can shake them and then they would expand to be a top hat, but they folded close. They like went flat for traveling purposes. Well, the spirit did that, and I just started laughing. Did
man.
not appreciate.
No.
Now, the last apartment I was in, right before I bought this house, I remember I was so tired and I walked in this apartment and I was like, nope, not today. I ain't doing it. I got enough problems without you being up in my house. You need to leave. I ain't playing with you. I was getting so bad. Never had a problem out of her. She, was- I don't even think she was there. I think she left after that. I'm like, I'm
I
coming back
remember
into my
that. That
power.
was funny as heck.
I'm like, nope, not today. And then Sarah's like, so Sarah, are we going to mention this? But she's got a lot going on on this shit on her channel, but so we had this whole discussion about like death and what happens in the afterlife and hauntings, and we were talking about helpful ghosts and unhelpful ghosts. And Sarah convinced me that she was going to be a helpful ghost. And I'm like, okay, okay, you can stay if you're a helpful ghost. You can stay, absolutely. You're going to pay bills. You can't haunt me and not pay bills. We don't got to, it's 2025. so tell her what you said. I'm gonna let you tell this.
Are we talking about the bill paying part or the communication part?
Both.
Okay, so to pay bills, I'm going to Robin Hood laundromats for coins and vending machines. So there's just going to be a string of these robberies and crimes, and no one's going to have any proof because it's a ghost.
Ghost.
Yeah.
And yet, LD over here is going to have just sack upon sack of quarters and dimes and nickels and all this. And they're going to be like, what the heck? To not be able to prove anything. And that's how I'm going to pay the bills, is the
Yeah.
most inconvenient way possible. And then
Or
as
you
far
could,
as communicating, oh, I wish I had a sock out here.
but
I'm
remember
going to
back,
communicate through sock puppet. Just floating socks with...
what movie was that where the one she was telling fortunes and the one ghost was helping her make
Oh,
money by telling
Oh, yeah.
fortunes? What movie was it?
I
That's
know
what
what
I'm
you're
was
talking
sorry.
that
about.
was that the TV show?
I don't remember. But that's what you all just made me think about.
Oh, it had Whoopi Goldberg, right?
Yes, yes,
Yes.
It
yes.
did.
Was it Ghost?
Ghost. It was Ghost. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
There you guys go. You go Robin Baker something together too.
And I'm
I
gonna
would
be the little sock puppet in the mirror. I made a freaking TikTok. I was wearing this sweater of the sock puppet as
yeah,
she's
we
lighting her sage.
That works. I mean,
so speaking of sage, okay, so how do y'all cleanse like how do you protect your space? Well, let's talk about how do you cleanse it first of all.
I like lavender and sage.
Lavender and sage. And it smells good when you do lavender.
So I do definitely sage and lavender, and then definitely charging um true sea salts in jars of water charged in by the full moon. I
Oh, we
keep
kind of
those
witchy girl.
I keep those in the spaces that I usually talk about paranormal stuff in. Like I have one under the couch right now, a little jar of it that I'll take out and recharge the next full moon. We have one in my office where we'll be recording podcast stuff. We have one in the kids' rooms. So that's one way we do it, just because,
hmm
I'm not going to put salt everywhere. We have animals and children. The last thing I need is...
Somebody said that like ants, they won't eat the salt.
I'm more worried about the dogs licking it up or
Oh,
the cats.
you come back! You're taking my protection. Can you
Mm-hmm.
imagine being an old lady chasing your animal around? Hey, that's my protection.
Yeah, so we do that, and then sweeping the stoop with a broom.
I
Yes.
like moon water too. Like,
hmm
especially if it's a storm really bad out. Put your moon water out overnight, especially in a
Mm-hmm.
chaotic storm. It's called chaotic water, and just set
Mm-hmm.
that around your house too.
Oh,
Actually, it helps level out chaos in your house.
The last one I charged, and I've noticed, like, not just the peaceful and keeping not great things at bay, because Mary's seen that in my house too. That's an ongoing situation.
Mhm.
But it's helped like the kids even out.
Yes.
Just there's something about it affects human emotion and energy as well, not just spiritual emotion and energy. So I really like that. And in a pinch, thyme plus rosemary plus lavender with a little bit of oil to make it thicker, and lighting that has saved my booty.
Yeah. Uh, Sorry, I have teenagers in my house.
Oh no, you're
Oh yeah.
So I'm trying to like mute it, but for me, big sager. I tried some different sages here recently. I tried the blood sage. I don't think that really helped me. And somebody said just do Palo Santo, but I always seem to have like a really weird thing with Palo Santo. It smells great. I love it, but it doesn't always do the trick. I've tried a lot of different sages, and what seems to always do the trick is white sage.
that's what I was
Just
gonna say. White regular sage.
regular sage. I'm basic, and then I tried the salt thing, but I think for me that was more like a physical thing, but I don't need it. So for me, like when I'm protecting my space, I will say a prayer, and I will do a vision of Big Bubble going over the house, and I'll just keep praying until I feel safe, and I can see the bubble go over the house, and then well, I sage first, and then I do that, but if it's really hectic, if I really just don't feel comfortable with it, sometimes I'll do it 2 days in a row, but I always do it in the morning. I make sure the house is clean before it. Um, I've been in this really sick thing since I started the podcast with doing the cinnamon on the first. I always have my cinnamon on the first because it seems they said it was Cancer's year. And so I've been doing the cinnamon every morning. I do the little witchy ritual, as you would call it. You put this cinnamon in your left hand. I just forgot my quarter's still out there.
You
Should I?
just scared the crap out of me.
Oh no, I
I
was
know. I'm like, what did
I
she
thought you
do?
saw something behind me again, and I almost just flung
no.
myself off the couch.
Carly's got a friend with her, but
Yeah.
no, wait. I was trying this quarter thing. So, and also the last 2 months, I've been, I'll put the salt over my hands and I'll scrub it together clockwise, and I'll think about all the things that people did wrong to me that month, and then I'll just watch it wash away, wash all the bad things, so new things can come in, and for a while I was thinking I'm not really that witchy. I'm not a witch, but then the more I think about it, I'm like, Carly was right.
So, have either of you spoken to someone who's either an herbalist or practices with the Wiccan religion or identifies as witchy spiritual? Not in quotes, I just don't know how to properly say it. And then
Yeah.
realize that you've been doing rituals pretty much your whole life without realizing that they're actual rituals?
Yeah. A lot of
Okay.
people I point out, like, because I point out, I'm like, yo, you're doing what I do. And they're like, what? I'm like, I'm a Wiccan. And they're like, no, I'm not. I'm like, yeah, you are.
Which is funny because I have never any Wiccan ever. For some reason, we just don't get along. Now I realize, like with the pagan and stuff, so I'm getting way more into that now, and I'm really enjoying that, and I'm sticking with it. And there's something about it. Carly is the only Wiccan I can be friends with.
That's
Everybody else is mean.
well, I'm not really even a Wiccan. I'm just a
Yeah,
spiritualist. I like all
yeah.
spiritual stuff. I study all religions actually, and I just hone in on a few of them.
I heard something today. I heard this thing on this other cast. They said, if you are religious, it means that you're scared of death. But if you're a spiritualist, it means that um, you're not scared of death.
I'm
Like,
scared of death. I'm
I,
beyond petrified of death. Well, I've been through it
I
with the
think
heart
I'm scared of how it's gonna happen.
attack. No,
If
I'm
it's
just
like I want it to happen fast, but not too fast because I want to repent, before I die. You know what I mean? I don't want to die and have unfinished business. but I don't want to die slowly and be in pain. So I have a very specific weird thing. Like if
You
I,
want it scheduled a week out?
Yeah, I was gonna. She's such a scheduler. Everything's on a
I
schedule.
am, I
You
am.
cannot schedule death. I'm sorry, honey.
I am
Can't
the
do that.
OCD of the group. I'm the OCDer, and then, but you know what? Everything's been going really well. I don't want to brag, but we're almost to 2,000 followers on
Oh, nobody
YouTube.
said you were, but you cannot schedule death. I'm telling you that right
I'm
off the
just,
bat.
I
I'm
don't want
just
to. I don't
saying.
think I would want to even week out. I just think that
Uh,
maybe you
I'm
could be
telling
like,
you,
I
it's
just want to hear something tell me
peaceful. It
repent.
was
I
for
need
me.
you to repent right now. Right
It
now.
was
Repent
peaceful.
right now. And then that spirit, when spirit comes to you and they're like, "Did you do this now?" And if you don't do it, you have like a stomach ache. I want it like that. I want it to be like, you need to
You
repent right now, and then I'll repent, and then I'll die and I'll be like, "Oh,
You know what's sad? You know why I'm scared of death? Ain't for myself, it's for my kids. I don't want to leave them behind.
Same.
exactly.
That's the only
Exactly."
thing that scares. It was like, why are you scared of death? Because my children. I don't want to leave them behind. Like
Yeah.
I don't care about myself. I care about those who I love.
Yeah.
And what are they gonna do without me? Like, or can they get on?
Well, and for
Yeah.
me, I know I've lost people at varying stages and points in my life, and knowing how hard it is to process grief, and I don't ever want my kids to feel that heartache. I've not lost a parent.
Oh, I
I've
lost
lost
dad.
biological siblings, I've lost best friends, I've lost numerous people, and I just don't want my kids to go through any semblance of what I've been through.
It hurts. Like I when I lost my dad, it was the worst pain in the world. Like I lost a rock, and that's why I don't want my for my kids. I'm not afraid of death itself. I'm afraid of what it means
Mhm.
to the people I love. Because you're dead, you're gone, you're done.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
it's not going to matter to you too much, but it's going to matter to those who you leave behind.
Right. So you always
Exactly.
like leave like a legacy with your kids. You want to give them all the knowledge that you
They're
can.
and they're never
Hopefully they
going
listen
to
and they take it in and they remember it in the perfect moment. But also I feel like your soul will be like, "Hey, I think I'm going to be that like annoying lady in the kitchen, like, honey, that's too much salt. What are you
That is too
doing?"
much garlic. You put that garlic down right now.
You know
smack
what?
to the
That's
back of the
yeah.
head. Smack, give them.
Yeah.
Ratatouille them.
We need
Yep.
to save this recording, like so they know.
But
Get it together.
I so can see you try to schedule death out for a week. Yo, okay,
Just
listen here. I need 1 week, please. I
I
can
don't
see it.
I don't think I want a week, but I at least need like at least 10-15 minutes, Because 10
That
to
might be doable if you have a heart attack. I mean,
can you imagine though? I'd be like, Carly, I'm fixing to die in 2 minutes. I just want you to know here's all the information, and then I stop. And the
I
other,
did that to my husband, right? When I had my heart attack, I literally looked at him like, we got to leave. I got to the mailboxes and I actually held off until I hit the mailboxes so my kids couldn't see them working on me. So I
yeah,
did give a good 2 minutes.
yeah.
So
She was
you can be done. I'm just saying it can be done.
be like,
It's
and
painful, guys, but it
they
can be done.
say
Yeah.
that a lot of people, like a lot of friends that I have, they had like family members pass away. They're like, oh, they just passed away, at I guess divine timing for that person, but not for them. They waited till I left the room and then they passed away. And the same thing happened to Nana when her third. This was her last husband, and she was staying there. And as soon as she like left the room, he passed away. It was so weird going in there. Sorry, side note, but I remember I was blowing up the bed for Nana because she was like, "I'm sleeping in here," so I got her a blow up bed to sleep in the same room at the nursing home with him. And he was on this big machine, and I could almost see him right there in the room, going like, "Oh, everything's fine. I'm Gucci," and I'm like, and I'm staring at him, and then I look, and I kept looking, and well, I guess she would be my aunt or something. She was looking at me, and I'm like, she doesn't know what's going on. So I was kind of like, just like, brrr, looking at Gary, and then here she is, and I'm like, hi, brrr. So awkward.
Yeah, I don't know what to do right now. But I also think, like, when my grandma passed away, we had a bit of a rough relationship until she started. this sounds really bad, until she started dying.
Yeah.
Um, she never accepted me or my sister because we were adopted. She didn't think we heard her or noticed that she treated us different, but we heard her and we noticed. And when she got sick, we took care of her in shifts, you know.
Hmm.
And I remember her looking at me and she's like, I couldn't have asked for a better granddaughter. You've always been my granddaughter. I'm sorry for that, my eyes, you know. And we had a good conversation. And then as soon as I left, I got a phone call 5 minutes later before I was even turning the corner from where she was living that she had passed.
Oh.
So I do think people to a point know when they're going so they have a chance to repent
Yes,
in a
Yeah.
lot of
I do.
cases. Or
Like,
there's a feeling of, because that's not the only instance I have of.
I'm telling you, I knew that day when my heart stopped. I knew I had just minutes to get away from my kids before they had to see it. And I had this feeling, like this pain leading up to it. But as it was happening, it went peaceful. If that makes any
Mhm.
sense, the pain stopped. And I knew the time was up, if that makes any sense. And I knew, get as far away from the kids as I can so they don't see what's about to happen. But that feeling of peace, I'm telling you, it was just this flood of peace. And it was like I fell asleep.
So
Yeah.
when I had my couple of experiences, one of them I was under for surgery and I came to, like I woke up out of anesthesia and I looked to the side and saw the doctor and I just said I'm leaving and then I flatlined. Like woke up, knew what was happening. And they were like, "There's no way you should have woken up." But
I think
if I hadn't given them that warning, they wouldn't have been able to bring me back.
I
Is
think
that
our mind knows.
our
I
mind
do.
knows? And I remember vaguely. I don't remember as clearly as I did then, obviously, because that veil kind of goes back in place and clouds everything. At least in my
It does.
experience.
It does. It all you
But I
remember is the
remember
dark.
seeing sorry, the kids. Hopefully, you can't hear them too much in the background. They just
Oh,
started storming down the stairs.
you're good.
And then they saw the note not to come in. But it's. I saw somebody I recognized, and they were telling me that I should not be afraid, and it was to be determined whether it was my time or not.
Oh.
Like, we don't know if you're coming with us or not, but it's to be determined, but this is happening. So
Yeah.
basically, get ready.
There was when Justin passed away, you know, I went to go see a medium and I was like, when am I going to die? You're not supposed to ask those questions because nobody really knows. Anything can happen, choices, whatever.
Hmm.
And he said I was going to live a long time, but I always question that. So here's my thing. Here's my thought process. I had kids super early in my life. I went through my life backwards. Okay? So and I know I'm still pretty young, right? Whatever. I feel like an old lady. So I technically I'm young, and but I've always had this feeling like I just really don't see me as an old person. So I'm kind of like, well, there has to be something to that. So I was telling my mom the other day, I was like, so I got had kids first. I bought a house first. I got married first. I got divorced first. And now I'm pretty sure I'm gonna die first. Out of all my siblings, I'm the oldest of five, but they're all still like, wait, like even my youngest sister, she's 22, and my other sister, she's 2 years younger than me, and it kind of goes from there. But it's crazy.
Well, another thing could be when you've gone through so much so young, it feels like you've already lived a full life. Like
That's
you've
how
hit
it
all the
is.
benchmarks. It's like, what else do I hit?
And now I'm like
Right.
podcast. But we never know. We never know when we're gonna. As far as we know, Carly's gonna live till she's 97, and she's gonna be complaining about it the whole time.
I don't want to live that long. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lie. I don't want to be 97.
My Nana is 95 years old, and she would tell me every time I talk to her, she'd be like, I'm just so homesick. I'm homesick for my friends and my family. And I'm like, I'm right here, bro. I'm like, And she's like, no, I miss my mom, I miss my dad, I miss my husband's, everything. She's like, and I don't want to get to that point where I feel so like I already feel homesick for y'all guys. I could not imagine being that age and then being like, no, everybody's gone. That's horrible.
Yeah, I don't want to reach the point where it feels like I'm the last man standing.
I
Mhm.
do not want to outlive my kids. I'm sorry.
Mm-mm.
No way do I want to outlive, or like my grandmother had to bury 4 of her kids.
Yeah,
There is no way I am strong enough to do that as a
that's
woman. I
yeah,
don't know how she did it. Like, think about that. Like, how do you? No, no way.
absolutely.
Especially
It's
now that I'm having grandkids. No,
Oh yeah, now I want to. Once the grandkids come, I'm like, okay, I'm not going nowhere. You ain't
Did
going
that get
nowhere.
picked up by the mic?
I've heard two things get.
Real quick.
I've heard two things on the
yeah,
mic.
I keep getting like, yeah,
I've had a
I
woman
keep going
where I,
like this.
yeah, I've seen that too.
I can
Uh,
hear something talking in the background. Yeah.
so we can leave this unedited if y'all
I
want.
would leave it. Remember last time we left it unedited?
I mean, you can if you want, but the one that I was hearing it a little bit here and there, but I figured it would be picking up through there. But the one that just happened was like an actual, not just EVP, but actual words being spoken.
See,
Yeah.
that's what I heard. I heard something. It was a woman's voice. I should have wrote down the time, but it's in the beginning, very
Well,
clear. I thought it was somebody downstairs, and I was like, no, that was.
don't edit and let people listen to it, and don't say let them pick it up and write in
Okay.
the.
Okay.
You know what I
We
mean?
Sorry,
Like
but
before
that
we
one
start.
that one surprised me because I saw this thing and yeah. Okay,
we
sorry.
can put our
Yeah,
music on there.
that's why.
I
Yeah,
didn't mean to derail the
no,
conversation. That
you're
was
good.
No.
That's why I keep doing this, and I keep going off camera because I keep hearing
mm-hmm.
voices, and I'm like,
I hear voices.
I
The
hear
sun is
voices.
going down.
It's all
That's why.
crazy.
But
The
that's what,
voices in my head are now in your head. So
Yeah, I know. Thank you. No, I'm just kidding.
and it makes it so much easier on the editing when we pull things up. And I think that's the most best part about the paranormal podcast.
It is.
Like that's the whole
It's
point. And it makes things so much easier. So if a ghost comes through, like probably now because I see where I'm lagging, um, it's gonna be great. And then we can go on the times. And if you're watching and you heard something, definitely leave a comment. Let us know.
that's what I mean. Let them pick it out for us.
Oh yeah, y'all be our
Kind of
timestamp.
like a scavenger hunt.
And
EVP.
the if you can
Happy
find
Easter.
if you can
Scavenger hunt.
if you can find four, tell us what time, what you heard or saw, and if you get it, we'll send you a free hat or something. Or
Something.
maybe I'll send you a wig. I don't know. Not my wigs.
Not my wigs. But it'd be like a scavenger hunt for Easter.
Like a hat or
EVP time.
t-shirt.
Easter egg hunt, yeah.
There we go.
I
Oh, yeah, an Easter basket.
EVP hunt. There we go.
Uh oh,
You should set a date by. So if you find them by a certain date, then you win instead of doing it like a year out.
I would say like the end of May.
end of May.
Mhm.
I was gonna say Easter. You're a lot
That's
nicer.
in a week.
Yeah, that's not. We only post this in a week, hun.
Oh yeah. So
Yeah,
let's
Easter's
do
April 20th.
May
Or we could do,
31st.
there we go.
I
But
checked
we
how many days are in May.
she's gonna go
Actually,
back and be like, where was
I literally just checked my hand like the way we used to do in school. I was like January, February, March, April, May.
Well, we are running out of time, and I'm so glad that you came into a episode with us, and we hope that you can come back more.
Thank you for having me, ladies.
No
You're
problem.
welcome. Thank for y'all. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah.
Of course.
And we will see you Monday night. Song
Always.
favorite. Y'all have a good night.
Blessed be.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.